Do y'all know what a pre-foreclosure is? What's a pre-foreclosure?
It's just before they're going to, the bank is going to take over the loan or take over the property, rather.
Right.
It's getting in right before that.
Yep, so prior to the foreclosure date and the auction, when the foreclosure actually happens, the bank will, the lender or attorney representing the lender will send the person who's getting foreclosed on they'll serve them, the legal papers that dictate what they're being foreclosed on, the past due amounts, when the auction date is, reinstatement costs, and that period before the foreclosure date is pre-foreclosure. And so people who are in pre-foreclosure, they're in an unfortunate circumstance, and it could be for different reasons. One that Ode and I were looking at this week was for someone who didn't pay their HOA dues, right? So whatever that amount was, $150 or something every month, caused them to be in pre-foreclosure. They actually bought the property cash, right? So there's different ways that you could get into pre-foreclosure, but typically it's when you're not paying your mortgage and the bank is going to foreclose on you to take the property back. Any questions there? It's a good opportunity for you to be able to, all good?
Yeah, just excited about the baby.
If it's a good opportunity for you to help this person out, they have to do something, right? They either have to A, reinstate the loan, B, sell the property, get the bank their money back, or C, they can work out a deal with the bank and potentially modify the loan, which we saw a lot of in 2020, 2021 during everything that was happening with COVID. But it's a good opportunity for an investor to come in, or an agent, or anybody to come in and help this person out, because they have to do something. Otherwise, they're going to get foreclosed on at the auction date. Okay, cool?
What's the timeline typically, like when the lender serves the notice to when it's actually going to auction?
I think the minimum required days is 30. I think that's the minimum. I could be wrong there, but I think it has to be at least 30 days from when they deliver papers to the date. A lot of times it's longer. And you can push foreclosure dates. There's a lot of ways you can work it in order to buy more time. Any questions, thoughts?
So in this scenario, you could do like a sub 2. Would that be the only case?
No, that's one option to be able to help them out.
What's sub 2?
Do you want to tell them what sub 2 is?
I think you could probably
Try.
So basically, you find a homeowner that's about to be foreclosed on. You pay their balance to get them current, and maybe they'll negotiate, like, I don't know, I want to walk away with $10,000. So you pay that to the seller, and you get their loan current, and then you start taking over the monthly payments. So they got to move out the deed, you do paperwork, the deed transfers over to you, and then you can turn around and wrap it and owner finance it to somebody else. And they pay that monthly payment plus whatever your profit is every day.
Yeah, so buying a property subject to, it's not just in pre-foreclosure. If you look at the 1-to-4 resale contract and any commercial contract, anything like that, you have different options for financing, right? So cash, third-party financing, or assuming someone's mortgage, seller financing, right? So buying it, and this is all in the seller financing addendum too. Buying it subject to is you're buying it subject to their current financing. So if you have a house and you have $200,000 on it that you owe and you're paying this mortgage on it, you can assume that loan and buy this property subject to their current financing that's in place. And so in the pre-foreclosure example, if they're negative, it's called a reinstatement. So when they're in pre-foreclosure, they haven't been paying their mortgage or whatever it is, and if they don't want to sell the property, in order to stop the pre-foreclosure prior to the foreclosure date, they need to bring their loan current, and meaning, you know, pay all the stuff they haven't been paying and any other fees associated with it. And that's the reinstatement amount. So, you know, maybe they owe $200,000 on a house, and the reinstatement is $30K. That's what they're behind plus the fees, and it changes daily with interest and everything. But you can reinstate that loan by putting the $30K down or paying the bank $30K, and then you can assume that mortgage of $200K, and you can start making payments on that mortgage. Does that make sense?
The mortgage stays under the original owner's name though, correct?
Yep.
Would they qualify for another loan, another home? I guess they wouldn't if they were in pre-foreclosure.
Well, I mean, they're not going to get foreclosed on if you stop it, but I mean, maybe, you know.
I've heard when that scenario, like I've had a lender tell my client that I was trying to do something like shady, and I was like, no, she just doesn't know about it.
Well, it's, you know, it's,
but you basically you show that they took over. I think they could take away like 75% of their debt of that mortgage and not count it towards their debt to income if they want to buy a new house.
Okay.
But the right lender has to.
yeah, I'm not positive on the, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of determining factors with that person and being able to get a new mortgage. But assuming a loan is a good opportunity, especially right now with interest rates being what they are. If you can find a loan at 2 3/4 or 3 1/4% interest, locked in at 30 years, and you go and assume that loan, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Why would somebody think that that's like shady? Is it just because you're getting a house? Like,
Well, it's, you know, it, I mean, so lenders, they technically have they may have some things in there called a due on sale clause, where as soon as you sell this property, the balance is due in full. There's ways around that, and I'm not an attorney, but working seller finance deals are subject to deals. It's best to work with an attorney and a title company that knows how to structure these and put all the proper paperwork in place, like Alan Sesker's office, which is who we use for all these types of deals. But so that's one reason is, you know, they may or may not be lying about selling the property, you not having the deed, and their mortgage being due in full. And then also too, I mean, like, if you go get a loan and you basically give me that loan, but it's still in your name, and I tell you I'm going to be making payments on it every single month, I mean, I'm sure you're going to have some fears that you're on the hook, I'm not, right, with that loan. And so if I stop making payments, then it's you that gets in trouble, not me, technically, if your name's still on it and mine's not. And so that's where I think people could have mixed feelings about it. Now, Ode she said she had a lot of questions.
I do, but I don't want to like.
You're good, let's hear it.
Okay.
It'll help out everybody.
Okay. So, all right, which one should I answer? Okay. So, okay. First of all, is there a way? So I was trying to hunt down the seller of that condo, and I wasn't able to. So I looked at the listing agent or their old agent, and I contacted them, and they said that they had already sold, and they didn't even know like who they sold it to.
Mm-hmm.
From my understanding, like probably even before they got that notice, like they knew what was happening, so they probably reached out to their old agent, and was like, "Help me out."
Maybe, yeah.
Is there a way that you can look up pre-foreclosures?
I mean, you just need to have access to information on people who aren't paying their mortgages or HOA dues or.
Okay, so like, are HOAs allowed to give out information of who's like delinquent?
I don't know,
Okay.
but probably not.
Probably not.
I would assume.
Okay. I was just thinking like trying to get like ahead of the curve because
Yeah.
I'm assuming the minute that list comes out, people are just like bombarded with
Yeah.
investors.
They definitely are.
Yeah.
But the thing is I mean, every pre-foreclosure deal we bought or helped somebody out in, I'm sure they got 50, 100 other phone calls. And it's not about competing with, hundreds and hundreds of other investors or thousands of people trying to buy this property. It's about trying to help this person, right? And every situation that we've been into like this, where the person going through the situation worked with us, is because we weren't trying to force them down this path, or we weren't, we really listened to them and tried to solve their problem, and we're really able to help them out. And so that's where you can differentiate yourself from everybody else who's reaching out to them, is just build a relationship with them. I mean, you're not, we're never going in there and, from a negative or inconsiderate mindset. We're truly trying to help this person, and if it doesn't work out for us to buy it, then that's totally fine. But we just want to help them out, hear them out, and see how we can provide a solution, if any.
Yeah, and that leads me to my next question. What would be the, y'all's initial conversation? What would that sound like?
I'm a pretty straightforward person, and so I'd be like, hey Ode, I'm calling about this property. You probably know why I'm calling you, and just tell you hey, I'm trying to help you out. Are you interested in selling? How are you going to figure this situation out? And just start asking questions to learn what you're going through, what your thoughts are, and how we can help.
Okay, and then let's say that the conversation goes beautifully, and they're like, yeah, I want to sell it to you. What are the next steps?
It just depends on what you're looking to do. I mean, if you're buying it cash, then you need to come up with the cash. If you have enough time to get a loan on it and you're getting a loan, you can go that route. If you're assuming their mortgage, going that route. If you're wholesaling it, going that route. So it's hard to answer that directly, because it depends on the situation, the numbers, and what you're looking to do.
Okay, and then since there are going to probably be so many people contacting them, is it, you said it's not really a bidding war, but is it sort of are there going to be certain things that are more attractive to them?
Every situation is different, right? So yes and no, I'm sure, and that's where asking the right questions and learning about what they need will come into play to figure out what they need, what's important to them. They may not care about price. They may only care about you hiring a moving company to get their stuff out and move them into an apartment or something, right? But you wouldn't know that unless you ask hey, what's important to you? How can I help? And so that's where you can structure how you're going to help in your offer around what they need.
But people are calling and being hey, we're going to take care of whatever you have left on your mortgage, and then we'll give you this much more in cash. People are probably offering that as well.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
I've heard of a lady who offered, what she did is the husband was disabled, and the wife had no idea how she was going to move them. She could physically not move the furniture and stuff. So offering a moving service, will come and pack everything. You will throw away what you don't want. That was how they won that deal.
Yeah, I mean, we were working one the other day. It didn't work out, but this guy wanted $12,000. That's it. We were going to reinstate his loan. He wanted $12,000 on top of that. That was his number, and so that's what he wanted. We got in contact with him a week before the auction date, and there's a lot of stuff that goes into that to getting the paperwork from the lenders, and ultimately it didn't work out. But for example, that's what he wanted. And then when we found out he had another lien on the property that was $10,000, and he found out he wasn't going to get $12K at closing because we had to pay this lien off, he said, well, I'm not cleaning this property then. And so he didn't want to clean the property if he wasn't going to get his $12K. And so you just have to ask the right questions to figure out what is important and what they do want.
Okay.
A lot of times it's not necessarily money. Maybe they want to rent it back from you. We hear that a lot. They don't want to move their family out of the house. It just all depends on this person and their situation.
Okay. Okay. And then are people selling their homes, like that conversation I had with this their old agent. Are people, they're obviously aware of the fact that they're months behind, so are they selling their homes before this pre-foreclosure list comes out?
Maybe. Again, it's not like a cookie cutter answer on that.
Okay.
It's unfortunate. A lot of times people in these situations avoid the problem, and it just gets worse and worse and worse, and then they try and solve it a week before the foreclosure date. So yes and no. I'm sure people who are proactive figure out a solution, but there's a good amount who are not proactive, and they just kind of ignore the problem.
Yeah, okay. Just so that I'm aware, because, well, okay, so what's the easiest, is that True People Finder or whatever, is that the easiest?
That's a freeway.
What's a non-freeway? Because that did not work yesterday.
Skip Genie is one.
A remind is like the
Yep.
thing is pretty good. It was
Oh, is it? Okay, cool.
Yep, Remind, Skip Genie. I mean, you could just go to Google and type in skip tracing software, and you'll get like hundreds of things. But I do like Skip Genie. Remind, if you're a part of ABLE, you got access to that. And also too, you know, none of these skip tracing softwares are 100% accurate. None of them. So you may not be able to find the right phone number. You may not be able to find the right email address. And so you just have to get creative. Look them up on Facebook. Look them up on LinkedIn. Look them up on wherever. Go knock on the house, right? If they're getting foreclosed on and they live there, go knock on the door and talk to them.
Legally, can, like, an old agent that they use hand out their contact? Or is it just like an ethics thing or respect?
I don't know, honestly. I mean, yeah, I guess you could hand out anybody's contact information.
Okay.
But that's that was a smart way too, to see if they could put you in touch with them.
Okay. Okay, that's, I think, all I have for now.
Cool.
How are we, sorry, go ahead.
So with the subject to that's called the buyer financing, so when you assume the loan, is that the right term?
What do you mean?
So when you, the subject to that you have, how you would.
Yeah, you as the buyer, that would, you're just assuming their loan.
Assuming the loan.
Uh-huh.
So what's the point? Because it's not.
For who? For the buyer?
If I was to assume your loan, what would be in it for me if?
A lot. I mean, potentially a better interest rate. You're not having to go get approved for a loan. You're not having to go get an appraisal. You're not having to pay origination points on a loan. Potentially getting a better deal on this current loan that's in place than you would elsewhere, like you could right now. So I mean, you do it if it makes sense, but if it doesn't, then you don't do it, of course.
So they're out of the house and now I'm acting as my house.
Yes and no. I mean, like if you rent it back to them, then they're still there. You could close and have them move out, right? It's all kind of negotiable, but what happens is you close on it and you get the deed. It's in your name. The loan's still in my name, but I don't own the house anymore. I sold it to you. It's now your house, but the loan's still in my name, and you're going to make payments on my loan every single month.
And so with the deed, if I'm ready to sell that property, I have the right to sell that property.
Correct.
Okay. I guess that's what I was like,
Yeah.
Okay.
You own the house.
Okay.
I mean, just that alone, like not having to pay for an appraisal, not having to get approved for a loan, not having to pay origination points, that'll save you a lot of money. If the loan you're assuming is a good loan.
What's a good time window, like you said y'all like were a week with them, like
Yeah, I'd like to have
what
like
would you say like is a good time frame?
at least 3 weeks.
If it's less than 3 weeks, it's probably better to just be like,
Well, it just depends on your exit strategy too. I mean, 3 weeks at least if you're trying to wholesale it, right? Because you want to try and find an end buyer who's going to buy it. But I mean, we could have gotten it done in that week had the seller kind of. Well, if he would have just played ball with us a little bit, he was just real mean and upset and blaming us for his situation, and we're like, dude, we're just trying to help you out, but it needs to look this way. And I mean, we were down to the line. Like, we had to send in $18K for the reinstatement on Monday because the foreclosure date's Tuesday. And we're at like 3:20 talking to him on the phone, wire cutoffs 4 p.m. And we're like, look, we can't discuss all these things. You know, we either A, need to wire the money now and you're good with this, or B, you don't want us to buy it and we won't. And he basically just said, I'd rather the bank take it. We're like, okay.
Oh my God.
And so we didn't send in the money.
Wow.
But we could have gotten it done. He just was being really, really difficult.
So the vast majority of traditional loans are going to have the due upon sales clause, and have you guys ever seen that called by the lender? And if so, what was the trigger?
Not personally, but that's why it's really important to work with a good attorney or title company. Alan would be able to share a lot more information on this than I, but he's told us in the past that the banks don't really want to call it due. They'd rather get their payments every single month. And if they do call it due, he said that basically what you do is you transfer the deed back and then transfer it back. So like if I buy your property and assume your loan, and then 6 months from now the bank says this is due on sale clause, you know, calling it due, I would transfer the deed back to you in your name, so you now own it again, and then we would take care of the bank and you would transfer it back to me.
I have a friend that does that all the time. He takes over, he assumes the mortgages, and he has the buyer call the mortgage company in front of him and add him as an authorized user, so that way he can call and have access to the account. And then he also gets them online and sets up a portal so he can go in there and pay the mortgage and stuff.
Yeah, you'll need to be added to if I'm assuming your loan and you previously weren't making payments, I'm not going to trust you to make now my payments for me. And so you'll get added as a user on the third-party authorized user on the loan, and you'll have access to the accounts and make the payments yourself. Or you could even use a third-party processor and pay them whatever it is to make those payments every single month. Letty, you had a question?
Just how do we get a list of these people that are?
Ode, how do we get a list?
On the TCC website.
So every county, the foreclosures happen in the counties, right? So Williamson County, Travis County, Hayes County, any county in Texas. And the counties have these lists. So counties also have a lot of potentially motivated seller lists. Divorce lists, this is all public information through the counties. Probate lists, these are all public information through the counties. Code violations, tax liens, pre-foreclosures, fire damage, water cutoff. What else am I missing? Evictions are good lists to call on and see if people want to sell. Tired landlords. I think you can find vacant property lists there too. And so all of this is public information, and each county is different. Like Travis County's website, you can find them there. Williamson County's website, you can find them there. Some other counties, you may have to go to the courthouse and pull the list, but the counties have all these lists.
Do you have to pay for them?
No, a county may charge you if you wanted to go there and print it out or something, but
There were 9 added this morning.
there you go.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so from your like first call with this pre-foreclosure person, and let's say they're like, yeah, you're the person I want to go with, is there like a contract in place yet? Like between that and you wiring money?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, well, like it'd be crazy if you make this first call and you're wiring in some money. Y'all would be getting a lot done in that phone call. But first thing I would do is I would reach out and see if I can make contact. Then I would see, I would be asking questions to try and learn what they're going through. You need to get official paperwork from the bank. I would want to learn their situation and how I can help solve their problem. When I would learn what their problem is and what they're looking to get out of it, then I would figure out what my exit strategy is and structure the deal around getting them close to what they want if possible, and also getting what I want out of the deal. From there, we would put a contract in place with the deal terms to hopefully have a win-win situation with them, and then move through the closing process from there.
Okay. Are you doing a 1-to-4 contract on that?
Yeah, if it was a residential single-family home. So like if it was a commercial 5-unit apartment complex, then we'd use a commercial improved property contract. Or if it's a single-family home or duplex or triplex or fourplex, we'd use the 1-to-4 resale. If it was a condo, you'd use the condominium contract. If it was raw land, you'd use the land contracts or commercial unimproved land contracts. Any other questions? Are y'all thinking through opportunities of how you could utilize this to not only just invest, but I mean, there's really good opportunities for the investment side, wholesaling side. As a realtor, you can go and represent them and get it sold if there's enough time. So I mean, there's a lot of opportunities for you to generate some sort of income or get some equity out of helping people out of these situations.
Yes.
So on the little, I don't even know, the little statement that says like the mortgage amount that's due on their notice, is that's obviously like the bare minimum, and then, but like you're not going, let's say they have like $60,000 in debt, but like the home is worth $500,000. Like you're not offering them $60K, right? Like what would be?
I might.
You might.
Yeah, so like here's how I would look at it. If let's say the home in as-is condition is worth $500K, I believe, conservatively. Let's say they're $60K behind, and to bring it current, they need to pay $60K. Let's say their loan amount is $200K. They only owe $200, so that means that there's $240,000 worth of equity in it. And if I can pay $60 and get $240,000 worth of equity, then that's pretty good. I just quadrupled my $60K at closing.
Do they accept that?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to structure the deal with them and talk to them and figure out what's important. And
Okay. And then, so whatever they're in debt with, does that have to be paid in cash? That can be like, right? You can't make payments on that.
It has to be like wired, like the full.
so if you're reinstating the loan and assuming their mortgage, and this is what it takes to reinstate the loan, then the bank needs to get this.
That's like your down payment.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Okay.
Kinda, except it's not going towards your principal balance, most likely.
Right, okay. Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
If you're not going to reinstate the loan and you're just going to buy it and you're not going to assume their mortgage, and so this is the reinstatement. Let's say the payoff is 200 plus 60. So then all you need to do is buy this property for 260 plus closing costs to get the bank paid back their money, and this $500,000 property is yours.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
And you could do like a hard money loan for that?
Yeah, hard money loan, cash, at the auctions. If you go there on the, it's the first Tuesday of the month on the county court steps. And if you go there and you want to buy properties that way, you need to have cashier checks. And you're going to be bidding with everybody else. It's a true auction. And then if you win the auction, then you hand over your cashier's checks and the property's yours.
Fun.
On your first one that you did, I don't know if you remember, but did you have the full money to put down, like for the 60 grand? Like, let's just use that scenario. Like, do you recommend, like, if somebody like me, I don't have that money, like, do you recommend maybe waiting for something like this, like?
No.
Is this like
I mean,
more
maybe you
advanced type thing?
maybe you find this deal and go find someone to put up the 60K and y'all buy it together, right? Maybe you get it under contract and you wholesale it to someone who will put up the 60K, and you wholesale it at, 280. You keep 20, they put up 260, bank gets paid off, and they just bought this house or whatever, right? So if you find a good deal, the problem with, if you're not certain you're going to be able to get it done, you don't want to put these people in bad situations, right? You don't want to go under contract with them a week before the foreclosure date when they had 2 other offers and you're not able to get it done, and you cancel the contract and they get foreclosed on. That's not the best way to approach it, in my opinion. But if you're certain that you can find a buyer here and stop this foreclosure and get it closed on, then it doesn't matter if you have negative $100 in your bank account by the time you close with a 20K assignment fee. Then you've got $19,900 in your bank account.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's what I mean when figuring out your exit strategy is you can approach it in all these different ways. Maybe there's enough time and you find this deal and you don't want to wholesale it, you don't have 60K to buy it, and you represent the seller and help them find a buyer, and you get paid a commission at closing. That can work too.
Okay, I'm sorry. Will you go over, okay, so basically if it's not, the only financed option would be to assume their loan, correct? No?
No, you can go get any loan you want and buy it.
So you could get another loan? Okay,
Yeah, at that point you're just buying a house.
okay, gotcha. Okay.
They need to sell it for a minimum of what the payoff is. But you can go get hard money, FHA loan, VA loan.
But they would be probably having someone assume their loan. I feel like would that be sort of at the bottom of their list because their name is still attached? It's the more risky version for them.
Kinda.
Okay.
Again, it just all depends. There's no
Yeah.
one answer. It just all depends on everybody's circumstances. Every single person in here has different situations at home. Every single person in here has different financial situations. And so if I went to every single person and tried to figure out how I could solve a problem, I'd get a different answer every single time, most likely. Exactly. And so same situation here is you don't know, but your goal is to figure out what's important to them and see how you can help solve that problem. And it may not be at the bottom of the list. They may say, that sounds really easy, let's just get it done.
Okay. Would that be a situation where like you assume their loan now because it has better terms, and then in like 2 or 3 years when the rates go down, you refinance to get them out of it?
Maybe. Or if it's at like 2 1/4, maybe rates never go down there again.
Yeah.
You keep it forever. But that could be an option too.
Okay.
You can structure it any way. With seller financing, what's really cool about it is, this is a little bit different, right? Because they have to meet certain things. But with seller financing, you can structure it any way you want to. 0% down, 1% down, 75% down, amortize it over 200 years versus typical 30-year amortization, no interest, high interest, interest only, balloon payments, paying down principal at these random times throughout the year. It's 100% negotiable, and you can structure it any way you want to.
Okay. Does Alan help you write those terms, however you guys?
Yeah, so the title company, we hired the attorney there to write the note of the seller finance terms, but we may ask for help if we need to on the contract, but sometimes it can get weird and tricky, but like last seller finance deal we did was a house in Anderson Mill. Seller wanted $440, he owns it free and clear. He owns like 11 other properties too. He doesn't care about the cash right now. He lives in Hawaii half the year, due to, I think, some of his kids live there. And he lives here half the year. Some of his kids live here. He's like 80-something years old. His kids don't want the properties. His tenant just moved out. So he didn't want to, they're all self-managing all these properties. His wife doesn't want him to manage the properties anymore. The property at the time, it probably would have sold for like $480, so it wasn't an amazing deal by any means. But we were able to structure less than 10% down and straight $1,300 monthly payments to him. And that less than 10% down, it was $40K. We were able to structure that where we paid $20 at closing, including the earnest money we had already put in. And then 60 days later, we give him another $20K for the remaining part of the down payment and reduction of principal. And then our mortgage would go down from $1,365 to $1,300, which we just did. But a $1,300 monthly payment for principal and interest. Taxes and insurance is like $700. And then there's a 5-year balloon on it. So in 5 years, the balance is due in full, and we'll either refinance or we could sell it. Or
How did you find them?
someone brought this deal to us. Just cold calling, I think, is how he found it.
That's like the perfect deal. Nobody wants it.
Yeah.
The kids don't want it. Like, nobody can fight over it.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. It was a good deal. We liked it because of the payment. You know, $1,300 is.
Are you renting it out?
It's rented out for $2,250.
Is there a way to find a list of people who have like rental properties, investment properties in Austin?
Yeah, I mean, it's all public information, right? So
Is there a way to be like, I'm looking for someone who has 15 houses?
you might be able to do it on Remine. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But like, I could look up and see how many properties you own right now and just go to the appraisal district and type in your name or your LLC.
Yeah.
But you may be able to create criteria like that in Remine. I'm not positive.
Okay.
How would you evaluate a deal? Because you guys walked away from the foreclosure last week or 2 weeks ago. You guys make the decision this isn't a good deal. What were the terms, or how would you look at a deal and say, yeah, I'm willing to take that, knowing every investor is different, everyone is different, risk tolerances?
For sure. So this one, it was this week. It was foreclosure day was Tuesday, and we didn't walk away. The seller walked away. But that one, I'll give you the basics on it. So it was actually a manufactured home on a 1.4 acre lot in Cedar Creek. And it was a newer home, like 2018 or something, from, Palm Harbor Homes. And he owed, I think it was like $207,000. To reinstate the loan, it was $18,000. I forget the exact terms of his loan. It was something like 5.5% interest. His monthly payment, including taxes and insurance, was like little less than $1,900 a month. So our plan, I don't really like manufactured homes or mobile homes to own necessarily, especially mobile homes. They're just gonna decrease in value over time. So, but a lot of people like them. And what we were gonna do, well, and we thought that we could at least list it at $310 and get it sold. So that was one option, was reinstate the loan, get this guy out. He lived there with like 10 dogs, all female dogs. He told us that. It's like they're all females. But he lived there with like 10 dogs. I mean, there's stuff everywhere. I wouldn't say he is a hoarder, but borderline. And so it needed a little bit of work, like replace the carpet, clean it up really nice, probably fix some paint and stuff. But I mean, kitchen looked brand new, aside from all the stuff on it. And so it was in pretty good condition, but we did need to do a little bit of work to it. So we were gonna put the 18K, reinstate the loan. We now own the house. I was a little, again, like I said, this guy was a little crazy. And so I was a little nervous, like him not getting out and all of his stuff out prior to us closing. Then we'd have to evict him, go through that. He is, like I said, a little crazy. Maybe he damages the house before he leaves and ruins things. So I was a little nervous about that, but we could have reinstated the loan, owed $207 on it, and then immediately sold it for $310. Listed it and sold it. That could have been a good option. Another option that I liked was buy it at this. Maybe we find somebody who wants to buy this house for $350 with seller financing. Maybe we ask them to put down $60K, so we get all of our $18,000 back plus a good cushion as well in case they do default, and then make their mortgage payments $2,500 plus or something. They would have a much higher interest rate than ours at the 5.5%. And so we would get all of our money back. We would have some left over. We would be paying our mortgage at $1,900 a month. They would be paying us their mortgage at $2,500 a month. We'd be cash flowing $600, and that could have been a great deal too. If we rented it out, maybe we could have rented it out for like $2,100 or something. So that would have been the least valuable exit strategy.
Plus he wanted $12K on top of that.
Yeah, he did.
And then at the last minute, there was another $10K out there.
Well, so he wanted $12K on top, but he also agreed to pay a commission, pay his closing costs, so we were basically going to get some of that back. But he did. He had a $10K lien on it, and he kept saying, this is a, this was a forbearance, this was added on to the end of my note. And we're like, look, we understand you're saying that, but title and everybody's saying it needs to be paid at closing. So the $10K that you owe on that second lien is going to come out of this $12,000. And we were going to give him the $2,000 and not have a commission or anything after that. But he just lost his mind. He's like, y'all are stealing from me. Y'all are going to make me homeless. I was like, look, dude, like I didn't put you in foreclosure. We're trying to help you out here. Like, what do you want to do? It's $320. We have to send in this money now. And he said, just let the bank take it. I'm like, okay. And so I was a little nervous. I was like, this guy is going to trash this house. He's not going to get out. But that's why we decided to do it, was because of either this exit strategy or the seller finance strategy.
So now if the bank owns it, if they foreclose, can you go to the bank and buy it from the bank?
Well, it likely went to auction.
Or list it?
Or it goes to auction.
It probably went to auction on Tuesday,
Okay.
and somebody probably bought it, maybe. I don't know.
So I have a question. We can look at this. Okay, on the MLS, when it has the same amount but twice, is that the same, or is it like, see how it's the same amount?
What are you saying?
Okay, is it just this amount even though it's listed twice? Are there two liens for the same amount? So is it like 170K or is it just 85K? Does that make sense? Like I'm just trying to read this, like, and I know it'll say on the notice, but just for like the MLS purpose.
It looks like maybe
Because this happens sometimes.
it looks like maybe they tried to foreclose on it twice. So this was,
Yeah.
110, 22, or it was filed 128,
Yeah,
and then this was filed,
in August.
16 months later or whatever.
Okay, so it's the same lien. There's not two liens on it. It's just one lien, just
Yeah,
like postponed.
right.
Okay.
It would have been different amounts though. I mean,
Okay, if it's two different liens, then it's gonna be different amounts.
I don't think it was two different liens, but what I'm saying is this amount would have gone up if they continued to not pay their mortgage.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh,
Does that make sense?
It
Plus all
does.
the interest and fees and everything that go along and get added on top.
Okay. Holy moly, okay.
And all this doesn't have to do with pre-foreclosures. So when you're going into listing appointments and when you're talking to sellers and people who want to sell, offer these options. Hey, can we buy it from you via seller financing? If they don't want to list it, then great. That may be a good option. Maybe you do that and say, hey, what would you take for it cash? Get under contract and wholesale it. Can I assume your mortgage? That could be an option. Just offer these sellers different options and see what's best for them and see how you can help solve their problem. Questions?
How do people defer like foreclosure? Like this one's original date was from 2001. How on earth is someone holding onto a property in pre-foreclosure for 21 years?
They probably paid it off or reinstated it or something. I doubt that happened. We were working one with a guy who didn't pay his mortgage since 2019. That took a long time. His reinstatement's like it's like 120K or something like that.
Wow, damn.
And that was still a pretty good deal. He's gone silent, but he wanted to sell it for $463. And right down the road, there's a house that sold for, is commercial, so it's in Hutto. It's downtown, or in like the historic area. And so it can either be used as residential or commercial. And there's a commercial property like 300 square feet less, same exact style house, same exact condition, give or take, some paint and stuff. And it sold for $873 a few weeks ago. And this guy wants to sell this one for $463, yeah. Send them reminders on the contract every day to sign.
So are you thinking 120 or whatever he owed on it?
No, I don't want to, I'd rather buy it at $463
You would offer that
and
amount?
put like like 80K down or something, as opposed to putting the 100 that he needs to put down.
Okay.
And you would buy it with hard money?
Yeah, or another loan. It's a lot of money. Put down 100, because he wants to walk away with like 40 or something. So it's like 163 or something we'd have to put down to reinstate it and assume his mortgage, which I don't really want to do. It's a lot of cash.
Yeah.
So what's your cutoff as far as how much cash you would be willing to put on a reinstatement?
It just depends. So like if the reinstatement is 500 grand, but we're walking into 5 million in equity, I'll put it there. You know, like it just depends on the deal and kind of how it looks. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember from real estate school how there was some sort of like clause with foreclosures or something. I don't know if it was like their homestead, but they had like 30 or 60 days to like get it back. Is that pre-foreclosure or is that like after foreclosure?
Oh, I think that's taxes, right? Taxes.
Is that taxes?
Yeah.
Okay.
You pay their taxes off, they have like a certain amount of time to get it back. To pay you back for the taxes.
Elliot,
Oh, okay, it's not till like.
tell us about, what was his name?
Jody,
Tell us about Jody.
I got threatened to, some guy was gonna kill me because I didn't close on a property, so.
This is the pre-foreclosure that I was talking about from this week. Elliot,
We promised him we are gonna give him 18K to reinstate the loan, and then we found a 10K lien on his property. But we promised him 12K, all said and done, to leave with after the loan. Well, and then I told him the last day, which I probably shouldn't have done, that 10K is gonna be on him, and then he just fucking went ballistic. And I was like, okay, and Alex was on the phone too, and he was like, would you rather get in foreclosure, or would you rather net 4K? And the guy was like, I'd rather get into foreclosure, I hate you guys. So,
It's amazing.
have you heard from Jody since?
No, he's probably trying to hire a bounty hunter or something.
This guy had like 5 Punisher tattoos. Y'all know what Punisher is, the movie? He had like 5 Punisher tattoos all over him. He's wearing Punisher shirts. He's a little wild.
He's gonna come punish you.
Maybe, I don't know. I didn't give him my address.
But what'd you learn from that deal?
I learned how to get a guy out of foreclosure. Didn't know how to do it. We put under contract Monday and he was going under foreclosure in 7 days. So literally in that 7 days I learned everything on how to get a guy out of foreclosure. So I wouldn't have learned that if I didn't put it under contract.
Yeah. Any lessons you'd take away from that?
Yeah, just be super straight up with people. Don't, because I was really hoping title would tell him that the 9K would go out of his net, but I should have just told him straight up. Because it's assumed, like, if there's any liens on the property, that's going to come out of the seller's net, right? So,
Yeah, maybe.
I guess in this instance,
Yeah.
that was the deal breaker.
Anything else you learned? Or you give everybody here advice on? We're talking about pre-foreclosures.
Pre-foreclosures? Yeah, start with title ASAP. Like, get it open with title, see what the reinstatement is. If it's a big bank, like, they take weeks to like get back to you. So make sure you get like a written reinstatement from the bank ASAP. Something in writing. The guy just gave us like a verbal, so we were just gonna send 18K just because he sent it in a text, which is super risky. So make sure you get it from the bank and make sure the property's deeded under your name before you pay it too.
Third-party authorization.
Yes.
Third-
Open it with Shesker, they'll help you. They're really good.
Third-party authorization allows you to speak to the lender on behalf of the borrower or the person in pre-foreclosure. Otherwise, they won't talk to you. They'll just continue to tell you, I'm sorry, I can't share any of that information. One way you can get information is by getting the borrower on the phone and giving verbal authorization to the bank, where they have to answer, security questions or whatever to verify it's them, and they say, yes, you can speak to Elliot. Reinstatement, current payoff, because these numbers change daily with interest rates and fees. Or not interest rates, but the interest added onto it. It's like, X amount per day. So getting a current reinstatement fee, reinstatement and current payoff to know how to structure the deal.
Yeah, super important. But yeah, that was a shit show. Next one will be easier though, for sure.
Yep.
Me and my partner, we did a pre-foreclosure on the mobile home, like just the mobile home. She had it in like one of those like trailer parks, and it was a fairly new one, but she only owed like $30,000 on it, and she was behind like $6,000, and she just wanted out of it. She was like real young. She had like 3 kids, so she was about to get foreclosed on. I think her cutoff was Friday, and we were there Wednesday, and we just went to H-E-B and wired the money. We split it. And then we bought it from her. That way we assumed the mortgage. And then he already has like a buyer's list for like people who don't have socials and stuff like that and want to buy mobile home cash or like owner financing. So he sold it to one of his buyers for $70,000. So we profit every month like $800 because we're owner financing it to them.
Nice.
And they just moved it to
How
their-
much? 1,800 you profit?
No, 800.
Still is great.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool to know you can do that with like the mobile homes without land.
Yeah. Any other questions? Everybody up for a challenge regarding pre-foreclosures? Andrew?
Hell yeah, dude.
Why don't we see, today's Thursday, so till next Thursday, why don't everybody try and talk to 5 people who are in pre-foreclosure and see how you can help. And if you find someone who is in pre-foreclosure and they are interested in selling or figuring out their solution, reach out to us. We'll help you talk to them. We'll help you structure a deal if there is one there. But 5 is just less than 1 a day for the next 7 days. But if you do this frequently and have these conversations, you'll turn up some opportunities.
Would we just tell them, like, ask the questions, how do we help you, and then say, let me run numbers? How do we say, okay, I gotta get back to you?
To like bring us in, just say, got it, thank you. I'm gonna bring this to my partner and I'll be back in touch here shortly. Or just be like, hold on, I'm bringing my partner on the line, and just call us and three-way us in. But don't be scared, and you don't have to know all the answers, especially on these first phone calls. Your sole goal is to find out what's important to them, learn about their situation and what they're going to do, and you know, are they able to, I mean, ideal situation is they have the money to reinstate the loan and they keep their house, right? You're not looking to just steal things from them, they're trying to help. Everybody up for the challenge?
Absolutely.
So,
Accept.
except, but what do you say when you get them on the phone? Hey, I see you're going to foreclosure. Do you want to sell?
No. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but I'm just trying to build a relationship with you. I'd say, hey, Brittany, this is Alex with Teifke Real Estate. I'm calling about this property here. You know, what are your plans? What are you going to do? How
Do you
can I
say
help?
you're a realtor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Say you're a realtor, you're an investor. Say both.
Okay.
Just say, I'm honestly just trying to help. You know, what's going on? And just listen if they're willing to talk to you. And just keep asking questions. The more you learn about what they're going through and what they need and their situation, the better. Well, you got a question?
No.
Do you accept the challenge?
Yeah, I accept.
All right. Nothing else before we get out of here? Cool. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.